want to turn attention now to the key learning skills that are most in need of support throughout a learning process too, and how AI might be able to help with those. So I wonder, Jessica, we left you last time. Would you like to jump in on this first now?
Oh, sure. So I think one of the things I like to do in AI, and I'm always in classrooms and businesses helping kind of understand how to make it fit. Um, and one thing that's a learning skill that's important is showing the prompt writing, right? Like, okay, so if I want to be creative, I want to connect to other disciplines, I want to see the content presented to me in multiple ways. How do I write those prompts? I think that's something that we need to help teach. But then once people know that, then they can write these prompts to help them um, I often like to do, explain this to me four different ways, and have AI explain something to me in four different ways, or connect it to another discipline. So I think once people understand how to write those prompts, then AI can help them maybe understand or break down the content into smaller chunks or present it in a different way. Um, and then also, kind of like Stephen mentioned, using it as like a tutor. I think back before AI or lots of internet accessibility, people could only really get support in the learning process if they had enough funds to hire a tutor. Whereas now it's more accessible to everyone who has, again, you have to still have accessibility issues because we still have to have access to internet and a computer and things like that. But in general, more people now have access to like a personalized learning tutor. And so AI can help us in those areas, whereas before it was maybe only a tutor. Um, and so I think some of those skills then are aided by AI and like some tools can help us, right? We've seen learning management systems have personalized learning paths now with AI. And so I think those things have all helped us be able to support the learning process better.
Really interesting. And I think definitely in sort of building better disciplines with looking at content and prompts, I think those skills aren't just to do with the use of AI itself, but also like research techniques and writing techniques. Sammy, we've talked about this in student independence before. I wonder if you have any thoughts on that you could add.
Yeah, I've seen Monica's question come in about the soft and technological skills that teachers need to integrate AI. My whole answer to this question was about promoting critical thinking for students. We we probably wrongly labeled them 21st century skills, expecting that we'd get quite good at them in the 21st century, but we're a long way behind where we need to be. And obviously things have moved on since as well. So we probably need to revisit why we labelled that as a key skill and what we can do to drive that forward. But student independence is one of the biggest things. What we want is to create independent, articulate thinkers, whatever their education journey looks like for when they exit into the wider world. And things about skills that we need, things about choosing where you go to get the information. Steve mentioned about going to Google. Do people know there's other places to go? And I can see in the chat that there's Research Rabbit and Elicit and lots of sites. So how do we choose those paths? So there's a critical thinking decision before we choose the tool we're going to access. And then when we get the response from it, we have a critical thinking of critiquing that response, like Jessica said. Is it right? Is it wrong? What can we do? We're the experts. How do we change that? So we've got to critical analysis on the response. And then when we're using it, we've got to use it ethically. We've got to cite where appropriate if we've had help on things, but also we've got to ethically check where's the bias in this. And in order to do that, the thread of that is student independence and critical thinking. So, in answers to Monica's question and what you were mentioning there, Catherine, that we talk about all the time at work is how do we help students enable them to be independent critical thinkers? And we probably need to go back and redefine what that looks like as a collective and then go forward in this new world with more clear guidance on what we're going to teach as key skills on that as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And Steve, what would you like to add to this?
Yeah, there's not much more to add on that front, really. And it's the key learning skills, I think, is that personalized learning, that revision skills, and the ability to understand things through different methods of explaining it to people. I think that's crucial, and is something that AI is going to be incredibly useful for going forwards. I'd also twist the question slightly and look at a key teaching skill as well. A lot of people, particularly in tertiary education, well, solely in tertiary education, are experts in their field. So they may be a brilliant plumber, they might be an absolutely amazing businessman or businesswoman, but they haven't had any specific training in pedagogy. Or andragogy, if you want to be slightly pedantic on it. In my mind, they're both the same thing, because we learn the same way all the way through, but that's another argument for another day. It allows you to apply those pedagogical techniques. So there's a variety of tools out there already that are doing that. So Blackboard's AI tool has a cognitive level on it, which is informed by Bloom's taxonomy. So when it's generating your questions for you, do you want it to be an evaluative question? Do you want it to be a creative question? Do you want it to be a descriptive question? And it allows you to put that level into it. There's tools out there like Teachermatic, which is all built around pedagogy. And that's come out of the FE Blended Learning Consortium, which is it's a brilliant initiative. And then on that personalised learning front, that's where Khan Academies position themselves. And that's what they want to do. So there are companies out there who are starting to push the boundaries on these and starting to get quite involved in it. And all along the way, they're making sure that they are ethically focused as well in it. And if an AI vendor doesn't have a statement of their ethics and doesn't have a statement of what they're intending to do, I'd say avoid it with a 10-foot barge pole, because that's something that's so important, as Jessica and Sammy both alluded to on there.